Eli walked through the vast spaceport, eyes scanning the crowd. Ships of every shape and color glided past, some hovering silently, others humming with mechanical rhythm. He loved places like this, full of energy, life, and possibilities. Among the humans, robots, and alien species, Eli often felt like a small but important thread in the fabric of the universe. Today, however, he was just hoping to finish his errand without causing trouble. He had come to the interstellar diplomatic hub to collect some paperwork for the human delegation. The building was enormous, a network of metal and glass, hovering walkways connecting floors that seemed to stretch forever. Eli adjusted the strap of his satchel, trying not to bump into a passing Arvian courier. The Arvians were tall, sleek, and brightly colored, with eyes that shimmered like gemstones. Their presence always made Eli feel both nervous and excited. They were polite but inscrutable, and he had learned not to make assumptions about their moods. As he turned a corner near the central atrium, Eli noticed something lying on the floor. At first, he thought it was a piece of discarded alien tech, but a second glance revealed it was a planner, small, leather-bound, and unfamiliar. Its cover was embossed with delicate symbols he didn't recognize. He bent down and picked it up, flipping through the pages. The writing inside was intricate, with neat patterns of alien script and occasional doodles that seemed almost whimsical. Eli paused, curiosity piqued. Whoever had lost this planner clearly cared about it. He looked around. The spaceport was crowded, but no one seemed to be searching desperately. The planner seemed important not just for its contents, but because someone of significance must have carried it. Eli's thoughts were interrupted by a ripple in the crowd. A group of Arvian attendants moved through, their movements graceful and synchronized, followed by a figure who made him stop in his tracks. She was taller than any human, with a presence that seemed to command attention without force. Her shimmering skin reflected the lights of the atrium, and her eyes, large and intelligent, studied the crowd with a mixture of curiosity and authority. Eli recognized her instantly from the news feeds. It was the alien queen of the Arvian Empire. She was here on a diplomatic mission, visiting several planets to strengthen alliances and encourage trade. Most humans had only ever seen her through hollow transmissions, but now she was real and standing only a few meters away. The planner in Eli's hands seemed to belong to her. Eli's heart beat faster. Returning it could be a simple act of honesty, but it also placed him in a situation that could have unforeseen consequences. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, weaving through the crowd toward the queen. "Excuse me," Eli said politely as he approached the Arvian attendants. They paused, tilting their heads slightly, studying him. His voice was calm but carried a hint of nervousness. "I think this belongs to your queen." He was led to a side chamber where the queen stood waiting. She looked at him with a faint smile, her eyes bright and curious. "You have something of mine," she said, her voice melodic and smooth, with tones that made his ears tingle in fascination. Eli bowed slightly, holding out the planner. "I found this on the floor near the atrium. I thought it might be yours. Most of your species might have ignored this or kept it for themselves, yet you chose to return it. But honesty is only part of the test, is it not?" She looked at him thoughtfully, as if weighing something invisible. Eli had no idea what she meant, but he nodded politely. She motioned for him to follow her deeper into the chamber, which turned out to be a reception room filled with elegant furnishings and subtle alien decorations. Holographic projections of distant stars floated above the floor, casting soft glows on the walls. Eli marveled at the technology, the beauty, and the subtle harmony of the place. "I am curious," the queen said, settling into a chair that seemed to float slightly above the floor. "What makes humans different from other species, in your opinion?" It was a question he had not expected. He thought for a moment. "I think humans are adaptable. We try to understand situations even when we don't know everything. We make connections, solve problems in ways others might not think of, and sometimes we take risks that others would avoid." "And what kind of risks do you mean?" "Perhaps I underestimated your species." The queen seemed genuinely intrigued, nodding thoughtfully after each explanation. Eventually, the queen stood and walked toward a large window that looked out over the spaceport. "There is something I want to ask of you, Eli," she said. "A small challenge. If you succeed, it will show me that humans are not only honest, but also capable of insight and adaptability." He examined it. It was a cube with shifting symbols that seemed to rearrange themselves when he looked away. He realized immediately that this was not a test of speed, but of thoughtfulness and observation. He would need patience, reasoning, and a bit of imagination to succeed. Hours passed as Eli worked, trying different approaches. He noticed patterns, tested sequences, and occasionally laughed at mistakes. The queen observed quietly, her expression unreadable but keen. Finally, as the sun-like lights of the atrium dimmed into the evening, Eli made a small adjustment to the cube. It responded instantly, shifting into a stable form, and a soft chime indicated completion. The queen smiled, more warmly this time. Remarkable. You did not rush. You observed, reflected, and found a solution that works within both our logics. Few could achieve this, fewer would even attempt it. You possess qualities that many species lack: honesty, creativity, and the courage to act when necessary. Humans are small, fragile compared to my people, yet you act boldly. Why is that? I think we could learn from one another. She paused, then smiled again, lightly teasing. And perhaps you could teach me a little more about it. He had never imagined his morning would turn out like this. As he prepared to leave, the queen handed him the planner once more. Keep this safe, and remember, humans often surprise me. Do not underestimate your own potential. Even small acts of honesty can lead to unexpected opportunities. I will remember. He realized that humanity's strength was not only in technology or numbers, but in their integrity, creativity, and willingness to step forward when needed. As he walked back to the human delegation's quarters, Eli glanced at the stars visible through the dome of the spaceport. Somewhere among them, the alien queen and her people watched over their empire. And somewhere in that vast galaxy, humans were beginning to be seen not just as a minor species, but as a species capable of shaping the future through thought, courage, and cleverness. And Eli, holding nothing but a simple leather planner, felt that he had already begun to do just that. Eli walked beside the alien queen through a hallway that seemed to stretch into infinity, though the walls shimmered and curved in ways that defied simple geometry. The air was filled with a soft hum, like the heartbeat of the building itself. He had barely processed the earlier events, the discovery of the planner, the brief puzzle, the queen's praise, before he realized that this was only the beginning. The queen paused before a large doorway. The frame glowed with soft blue light, and Eli could see inside a room filled with objects he could hardly describe. Floating shapes, shifting patterns of light, and surfaces that seemed to bend time itself greeted his eyes. He felt a thrill of curiosity. "This is the Chamber of Challenges," the queen said, her voice calm yet commanding. "Here, we explore understanding not through force but through insight. If you wish to continue as my human envoy, you must demonstrate that you can think beyond the obvious. You must adapt. You will need to observe carefully, interpret patterns, and make decisions that balance logic with creativity. Many have failed not because they lacked intelligence, but because they refused to look beyond themselves." He remembered the lessons humans had learned over centuries: patience, persistence, and the willingness to see beyond immediate results. He took a deep breath and focused. The first challenge was deceptively simple. A series of floating shapes hovered in midair. Each shape projected a different pattern of light and color. The queen's instructions were minimal. Arrange them so that the sequence tells a story that would be understood across species. Humans used emotion, actions, and context to communicate ideas that words alone could not express. He began moving the shapes, watching how the lights interacted, and imagining what a creature unfamiliar with human logic might perceive. Slowly, a pattern emerged. Each shape's movement suggested cause and effect, beginning and resolution, conflict and harmony. When he finished, the shapes glowed steadily, forming a sequence that seemed to hum with meaning. The queen watched silently, then she inclined her head. "You see beyond the obvious," she said. "Most species would have chosen a pattern that made sense only to themselves. You considered others, including yourself, but also those who must interpret your choices differently. This is an admirable quality." Eli closed his eyes for a moment, listening carefully. Humans were skilled at recognizing patterns in art, music, and nature, even when rules were not explicit. He focused, imagining what each tone might mean in a universal sense. A feeling of calm, a surge of energy, a question, a conclusion. He then used the floating controls to create shapes and colors that corresponded to the tones. When he finished, the room reacted immediately. The lights shifted, blending with the patterns he had created, forming a display that seemed to communicate with the air itself. The queen's eyes widened slightly. "Few have achieved this harmony," she said. You demonstrate sensitivity, intuition, and creativity. These are rare traits, human, rare indeed. Eli was presented with a simulation of a small planet, complete with ecosystems, civilizations, and weather patterns. The Queen instructed him to solve a problem, ensure that all life forms could survive an incoming cosmic event without destroying the planet's balance. Eli felt the weight of the task. He was not a scientist of alien worlds, yet he realized the solution lay not in brute calculation, but in understanding relationships. Humans had long adapted to diverse environments by cooperation, observation, and learning from mistakes. He watched how each species interacted, noting dependencies and vulnerabilities. He made small adjustments, shifting energy flows, redirecting water currents, and advising civilizations to alter their structures. Every decision was made with care, balancing logic with creativity. Slowly, the simulation stabilized. The planet thrived despite the cosmic event, and all life forms remained safe. The Queen clapped her hands once, a sound that echoed softly through the chamber. You have done well. You approach problems in ways that are flexible, considerate, and wise. You consider the whole, not just fragments. This is the strength of your species. She smiled, her eyes gleaming with curiosity. One final challenge remains. It is not about puzzles, patterns, or simulations. It is about interaction. You must engage with an unknown species and find common ground, a way to communicate without force, without words if necessary, and without prior knowledge of their culture. Humans had always excelled in diplomacy, often bridging gaps between cultures and species. He nodded confidently. I understand. The Queen gestured for Eli to begin. He studied the creature carefully. He could not rely on words, so he focused on gestures, facial expressions, and tone. He mirrored its movements lightly, offering smiles and gentle motions of cooperation. Slowly, the creature responded, echoing his gestures and adding new ones. A pattern of mutual understanding emerged, a language without words based on trust, observation, and respect. The Queen watched silently. After several minutes, she nodded approvingly. You have succeeded. You recognize that communication is not limited to language. It is understanding, empathy, and the willingness to meet others where they are. This is a rare human strength. The Queen walked closer to him, her eyes reflecting soft light. Eli, you have proven something important today. Humans are capable of much more than most species believe. You think beyond immediate gain. You consider others. You act with honesty and courage. These are qualities that can influence the galaxy if you choose to use them. I just tried to do what seemed right. The evening lights shimmered, reflecting off the hulls of ships and the glass walls of the hub. The Queen paused and looked at Eli. Tell me, human, why do you take such care in small acts? Returning a planner, helping in challenges, engaging with unknown species, why? Even small choices can have consequences far beyond what we see. If we act thoughtfully, we can make a difference. If we ignore small things, bigger problems grow unchecked. That's how we survive, adapt, and grow. Not through war or force, but through cleverness, empathy, and understanding. Humans were small compared to some alien empires, but they had qualities that even the most advanced civilizations respected: creativity, courage, and the ability to unite others through understanding rather than fear. As the night deepened, the Queen looked at him one final time before the chamber dimmed its lights. Remember, Eli, the challenges you face today are only the beginning. The galaxy is vast, and opportunities to make a difference are everywhere. Continue to step forward, and humans will continue to surprise even me. It could mean solving complex problems, building bridges between species, and showing the galaxy that humans were not just observers. They were participants, capable of shaping the future. As he left the Chamber of Challenges, Eli looked back once. The Queen's figure was silhouetted against the glowing lights, serene yet commanding. He knew that this encounter would not be forgotten, not by him, and not by the galaxy. He had proven in a small but significant way that humanity's strengths lay not in dominance, but in thoughtfulness, courage, and empathy. Walking back through the corridors of the hub, Eli felt a sense of pride but also responsibility. If humans were to take their place in the wider galaxy, they would need to continue demonstrating these qualities. He realized that even a single person, acting with integrity and insight, could influence events far beyond their immediate surroundings. For the first time, Eli truly understood what it meant to be human in an interstellar context. A species capable of ingenuity, resilience, and connection, not through fear, but through respect and understanding. And as he returned to the quarters of the human delegation, he felt ready for whatever challenge might come next, knowing that humans could rise to meet it in ways no one else could anticipate. The next morning, Eli awoke to the hum of the spaceport outside his quarters. The events of the previous day still played vividly in his mind. The recovered planner, the puzzle challenges, the strange, shifting forms in the Chamber of Challenges. Yet today promised a new kind of test, one that stretched beyond intellect or creativity. Today, he would need to demonstrate the human ability to build trust and cooperation among beings with very different perspectives. Eli dressed quickly, feeling the familiar excitement that came with new challenges. The Queen had requested his presence at a special meeting in the diplomatic hall. Humans were often invited to observe alien protocols, but Eli had been singled out. He knew this was rare. The Queen's attention carried weight. Walking through the corridors, he noticed the hall's design was unlike anything on Earth. The ceiling arched high into translucent domes, allowing the stars themselves to be part of the room. Holographic projections of various planetary systems rotated slowly, each labeled in an alien script Eli could only partially understand. As he entered the hall, a soft murmur swept through the assembled delegates. Representatives from dozens of species were present, each wearing distinct clothing and displaying unique physical characteristics. Some had multiple arms, others had eyes that glowed faintly, and a few had transparent skin revealing glimpses of inner structures. Eli felt a moment of nervousness, but he reminded himself that he had faced challenges before, and humans had a way of adapting. The Queen greeted him first. "Eli," she said warmly, "you have proven yourself capable of understanding complex challenges. Today, we will see if you can extend that understanding to cooperation and negotiation." The Queen's voice carried clearly to all present. "These systems are threatened by anomalies that may cause planetary climates to destabilize. Each species here has its own perspective on solutions. Your task, human, is to help us find a plan that balances all interests." Different planets required different approaches, and many species had conflicting priorities. Yet humans excelled at collaboration and compromise. He remembered his past experiences, both small and large, coordinating teams, mediating disputes, and finding solutions that considered all parties. These were skills born from centuries of surviving in diverse societies on Earth. He stepped forward, speaking calmly but confidently. "We need to consider each system as part of a larger whole," he said. "If we focus only on individual planets, we risk creating new problems elsewhere. We should look for solutions that are adaptable, flexible, and fair to all life forms." But humans have found that long-term success often comes from balancing immediate fixes with systemic thinking. We can plan actions that meet urgent needs without creating future harm. Eli realized he needed to demonstrate not just logic, but empathy and the human ability to mediate. He took a deep breath and began to outline a plan. "Let's start by dividing the systems into categories based on the type of threat," he suggested. "Some planets are facing climate instability, others geological shifts, and some have social challenges among their species. For each category, we can propose solutions tailored to the needs of the planet and its inhabitants, while coordinating with nearby systems to prevent unintended consequences." The Queen nodded approvingly, but she remained silent, letting Eli continue. "Next, we should assign responsibilities based on strengths," Eli continued. "Each species has unique skills. Instead of everyone attempting to solve every problem, we can delegate tasks where they are most effective. Humans, for example, are good at coordinating complex operations and thinking creatively when unexpected situations arise. We can act as a bridge between species, ensuring communication and cooperation remain strong. How can we trust a species with limited physical abilities and technology compared to our own? Our value lies in perspective and coordination, not just physical or technological power. By doing so, we ensure no species is left out, and every action contributes to the overall stability of these systems." Delegates asked questions, raised concerns, and debated strategies. Eli listened carefully, offering solutions, compromises, and reassurances. He learned to read subtle cues, eye shifts, color changes, and vocal modulations, understanding what each species valued most. Slowly, a plan began to take shape that incorporated all perspectives, balanced needs, and offered practical steps to address the threats. Finally, the queen spoke, her voice calm but filled with satisfaction. Eli, you have done what few could. You have taken a room filled with species whose priorities conflict, and you have guided them to cooperation without force or coercion. This is a remarkable achievement. Understanding, empathy, and the willingness to act for the greater good are what truly matter. You have shown these qualities in abundance. Some species, he realized, were unfamiliar with humans, yet his actions had earned their trust. He understood that humans were being recognized not for power, but for qualities that other species often overlooked: honesty, creativity, and the ability to unite diverse groups. Later, as he walked with the queen toward a balcony overlooking the spaceport, Eli reflected on the day. He had faced challenges that tested intellect, strategy, and diplomacy. He had navigated complex alien interactions, solved problems with creativity, and helped foster cooperation. Humans had begun to prove that their strengths lay not in raw power, but in insight, empathy, and adaptability. The queen looked at him, her expression thoughtful. "Humans are often underestimated," she said. "Other species see your physical limitations and small numbers, yet they fail to recognize your capacity for strategy, problem-solving, and empathy. You are small, yet capable of great influence. Indeed, and your willingness to step forward, even in uncertain situations, is a quality I find rare. Many species hesitate when faced with ambiguity. Humans often move first, guided by curiosity and morality." Yet he realized that humans, by their nature, often impacted situations far beyond their intentions. Their ability to act with integrity and insight could influence events across systems, perhaps even across the galaxy. As the stars reflected in the domed ceiling of the spaceport, Eli understood a deeper truth. Humanity's place in the galaxy was not determined by technology, weapons, or sheer numbers. It was determined by the capacity to understand, to adapt, and to act with courage and wisdom. These were qualities that could unite species, resolve conflicts, and solve problems that seemed insurmountable. The queen placed a gentle hand on the railing beside him. "Eli, you have shown that humans are more than what many believe. You are not only capable of solving puzzles or negotiating plans. You embody qualities that can inspire others to follow and cooperate. This is how civilizations thrive, and this is why I value your species." He had stepped forward once by returning a planner and again by navigating the queen's challenges. Now he realized he was stepping into a role that could influence entire star systems, not through domination, but through understanding, empathy, and leadership. The queen looked at him with a faint smile. "And yet, there is more to learn. The galaxy is vast, and there will be times when your skills, your insight, and your humanity will be tested in ways you cannot yet imagine. Step forward, human, and continue to demonstrate what your species is capable of. You are a living example of why humans can be trusted, respected, and followed, not because of might, but because of the heart and mind." Humans, small and unassuming as they might appear, carried within them a remarkable potential: the ability to influence, inspire, and unite, simply by thinking, caring, and acting thoughtfully. He understood that every step, every choice, every small act could ripple outward, shaping outcomes far beyond his immediate vision. And as he looked back at the queen, standing gracefully with her eyes reflecting the starlight, he realized that the journey of humanity among the stars had only just begun. The morning sun, or what passed for it in the artificial light of the spaceport dome, cast a soft glow over the diplomatic hub. Eli walked quickly through the corridors, feeling the same sense of curiosity and determination that had carried him through the queen's previous challenges. Today, however, the air carried a tension he could feel without understanding it fully. The queen had requested his presence again, hinting that there was something urgent to discuss. When he entered the observation chamber, the queen was already there, standing before a large holographic display. It showed a cluster of distant star systems, each represented by a glowing orb. Eli recognized some as the systems they had planned for earlier interventions, but others flickered in ways that indicated instability. The queen's expression was serious, yet composed. "There is an anomaly in the outer systems," she said. "It is natural in origin, but it could destabilize multiple planets if left unchecked. The situation is complex because the anomalies are interconnected, and any intervention must consider all affected systems simultaneously." He could see the patterns of energy and gravitational shifts affecting planets and moons. While humans were not naturally adept at understanding alien physics, He realized that the problem required logic, foresight, and coordination, all skills humans had honed over centuries of survival and innovation. "What is expected of me?" Eli asked. "You will lead a team of representatives from multiple species," the Queen explained. "They will each have expertise, but coordination has been a challenge. I believe that humans, with your experience in collaboration and mediation, are uniquely qualified to guide the solution." Leading species who were physically stronger, more technologically advanced, or culturally rigid was daunting, but he reminded himself of what he had learned. Observation, empathy, and creative problem-solving were more powerful than brute force. The team assembled quickly, and Eli began introductions. The Arvian scientists, known for their precise calculations, nodded politely. The Vorlians, disciplined and methodical, observed silently. Representatives from smaller species whispered amongst themselves, curious but respectful. Eli sensed skepticism in some eyes, but he smiled and began. "Let's start by understanding the problem fully," he said. "We need to know not only the physical effects of the anomalies, but how each intervention affects other systems. Then we can assign tasks based on strengths while coordinating overall actions." Slowly, a plan began to take shape, but it was clear that the anomalies were unpredictable. Even the most advanced calculations left gaps that required judgment and adaptation. During a pause, Eli observed the Arvian scientist adjusting holographic projections. "We have a partial solution," the scientist said, "but we cannot predict secondary effects." That's where humans often excel. We learn from experience, improvising when predictions fail. We also communicate with others to find solutions together. Let's consider scenarios for each outcome and decide on a plan that is flexible enough to adapt. But rigid plans risk creating bigger problems if conditions change. We need a balance, a strategy that is decisive yet adaptable, precise yet responsive. We can monitor each intervention in real time and adjust as necessary. His human perspective, an ability to see patterns and consequences across systems, combined with empathy for affected civilizations, proved invaluable. Species that had doubted his capability began to trust his judgment. At one point, a crisis emerged. One planet's atmosphere was predicted to destabilize in hours, threatening its oceans and the life they supported. The Vorlians wanted to take immediate action, focusing solely on their technology, while the Arvians proposed a slower, more measured approach. Conflict arose. Eli stepped forward calmly. "Let's combine both approaches," he suggested. "We can deploy immediate safeguards to stabilize critical areas while implementing a longer-term solution to prevent recurrence. Both methods can work together if we coordinate properly." The team shared relieved glances, their skepticism replaced by respect. The Queen's voice echoed through the chamber. "Excellent work, Eli. You have demonstrated what few could: leadership, foresight, and the ability to unite diverse species toward a common goal without force or coercion. This is the essence of human ingenuity." His mind moved rapidly, connecting the variables, simulating outcomes, and ensuring every planet had the attention it needed. By the afternoon, the team had established a coordinated effort to stabilize the systems. Delegates from every species had contributed, and each had grown to trust Eli's judgment. They moved seamlessly, like a well-practiced team, despite their differences. Eli smiled quietly. Humans had always excelled in coordination, often without recognition. Here, that ability was being seen on a galactic scale. After the immediate crisis was addressed, the Queen invited Eli to a private balcony overlooking the spaceport. The air was filled with the gentle hum of ships and the distant glow of stars. She regarded him thoughtfully. "You have not only solved the immediate problem," she said, "but you have also earned the trust of these species. That is more difficult than any puzzle or simulation. It is one thing to demonstrate intelligence, it is another to inspire cooperation and confidence. Humans excel in this." On Earth, humans had to cooperate to survive and thrive, even among different cultures. Perhaps that experience translates here, helping species see the value in listening and working together. That combination allows you to accomplish remarkable things without aggression. It was remarkable how simple actions, guided by thoughtfulness and courage, could influence the galaxy. "Do you think humans are ready to take a larger role?" Eli asked, curious. The Queen smiled faintly. "They are ready if they continue to step forward. Intelligence alone is insufficient. Trust, empathy, and collaboration are equally important." Humans have these qualities in abundance, though they often underestimate their own potential. You have demonstrated today that a human mind can unite species, solve problems creatively, and adapt to challenges faster than many others. Acting with integrity and insight without arrogance or expectation is what makes your species exceptional. You influence others through example, not force. That is a rare quality. He had learned something essential. Leadership was not about power, but about understanding, empathy, and the courage to act wisely. Humans could achieve far more than they realized if they relied on these qualities. Suddenly, the Queen gestured toward a new projection. A series of planetary images flickered, showing subtle changes in energy patterns across the outer systems. "Eli, there is more to consider," she said. "These anomalies are natural, but they are also unpredictable. Humans are capable of foresight and rapid adaptation. I would like you to guide ongoing monitoring and intervention. Your species can continue to play a central role in ensuring stability." Yet unlike fear, he felt excitement. Humans were small, but their ingenuity and understanding allowed them to achieve things far beyond their physical or technological limitations. He realized that even a single human could influence events on a galactic scale if guided by insight and integrity. "I will do my best," Eli said. "I have no doubt," the Queen replied. "You have proven that humans are not just capable of handling crises. They can shape outcomes positively without domination or aggression. That is the mark of true strength." Humans were often underestimated by other species, yet their greatest qualities, adaptability, empathy, insight, and courage, allowed them to achieve remarkable results. Even when facing unknown challenges, humans could find solutions by combining observation, reasoning, and collaboration. The team resumed their work, adjusting interventions, sharing updates, and ensuring that every system remained stable. Eli guided discussions, listened carefully, and encouraged creative approaches. Slowly but surely, the anomalies were brought under control. The outer systems stabilized, and planets thrived once more. By the end of the day, the delegates were exhausted but satisfied. They had witnessed the effectiveness of human coordination firsthand. Eli realized that humans' ability to unite diverse perspectives, mediate conflicts, and adapt quickly had made the difference. While other species relied on power, humans relied on understanding. That understanding had saved planets. As Eli prepared to leave the chamber, the Queen placed a hand on his shoulder. "Remember, Eli, humanity's influence is not measured by strength or dominance. It is measured by the ability to inspire, connect, and solve problems creatively. You have shown that humans can achieve what many others cannot, not by force, but by insight and collaboration." He had stepped forward once, returned a planner, solved puzzles, mediated negotiations, and now guided multiple species through a galactic crisis. Each step had been small, but together they demonstrated humanity's potential. He looked out at the stars beyond the spaceport dome, feeling a quiet determination. Humans were capable of far more than they realized. They could inspire trust, solve complex problems, and unite beings across the galaxy, all without force, without coercion, and without violence. And in that moment, Eli understood the true power of humanity, the ability to step forward, think wisely, and act with integrity. That power, he realized, could shape not only the future of a single planet, but the destiny of entire star systems. The galaxy seemed calm as Eli returned to the diplomatic hub the next morning. Yet beneath the serene glow of the spaceport dome, subtle shifts in planetary energy patterns reminded him that the crises of the outer systems were never truly over. Stabilization was ongoing, monitoring essential, and coordination continuous. Humanity's role in this effort had grown far beyond what Eli had ever imagined. Eli's steps echoed lightly through the polished corridors as he approached the Queen's chamber. Today's meeting was not just about coordination or strategy. It was about recognition. The Queen had requested a full assembly of delegates from every system involved in the interventions. Eli knew that this was a rare honor and also an opportunity to demonstrate what humans could achieve. As he entered the chamber, a soft murmur spread among the delegates. Holographic displays of stabilized planets rotated gently in the center, showing each world safe and thriving after coordinated intervention. Representatives from the Arvian, Vorlian, and Tivarn species, along with smaller civilizations, nodded and exchanged glances of approval. They had been skeptical of humans, but Eli's leadership had earned their trust. The Queen stepped forward, her presence commanding but warm. Today, we celebrate the efforts that ensured stability across multiple systems, and we recognize the contribution of one human who has gone beyond expectations. She gestured toward Eli. Eli, you have not only coordinated the interventions, but also inspired cooperation, trust, and understanding among species that rarely see eye to eye. That is no small achievement. The delegates began to speak, offering gestures of respect and appreciation. Some bowed, others adjusted their color displays, a few extended limbs in gestures of acknowledgement unique to their species. Eli felt humbled. Humans were not physically dominant, but their ability to unite diverse beings, solve problems creatively, and act with integrity had earned universal admiration. The Queen's voice cut through the gentle hum of the room. Eli, your efforts demonstrate a key lesson. Humans may appear small, but your species possesses qualities that allow you to influence outcomes far beyond your numbers or strength. Ingenuity, empathy, courage, and the willingness to step forward when others hesitate. These are the qualities that make humans exceptional. Each step had been small in isolation, but together they had shaped events on a galactic scale. It was a humbling realization. Your species has reminded us, the Queen continued, that leadership is not about dominance or technological superiority. It is about understanding, connecting, and creating solutions that serve the greater good. Eli, you have shown that humans are capable of this, and much more. Let this be remembered. Humans lead through thoughtfulness, insight, and integrity, not through force. Yet we have witnessed firsthand the effectiveness of your leadership. Humans often underestimated themselves, thinking of their species as physically limited or technologically behind others. Yet here, their qualities, intuition, empathy, and problem-solving had not only saved planets but also built bridges between civilizations. The Queen turned to Eli with a playful glint in her eyes. And I must say, your style is remarkable. You approach challenges with calmness, thoughtfulness, and a subtle humor that disarms tension. Few species could achieve that. Even small acts, like returning a lost planner, can ripple outward to create trust and opportunity. Never underestimate the power of thoughtfulness, Eli. Small decisions, guided by integrity and empathy, had grown into actions that influenced entire star systems. The thought was both humbling and inspiring. The Queen's gaze swept across the assembly. Let this day be a reminder, intelligence alone is not enough. Wisdom, empathy, and courage define the true strength of a species. Humans exemplify this. I hope this shows others that cooperation and understanding can achieve what force cannot. If more species adopt this approach, imagine what we could accomplish together. Humans had demonstrated a unique capacity to unite disparate species, mediate conflicts, and solve problems creatively. It was a lesson that would resonate far beyond this room. The Queen stepped closer to Eli, her voice lowering to a conversational tone. Eli, today you have proven something remarkable. Not only are humans capable of leadership, but they can also inspire trust and collaboration in ways that no other species has achieved. That is why you will continue to be entrusted with critical roles in interstellar affairs. Now he realized the role humans could play was far greater than he had imagined. Their strength lay not in dominance, but in insight, creativity, and the willingness to act with integrity. As the assembly concluded, the Queen walked with Eli to the balcony overlooking the spaceport. The stars sparkled like jewels in the artificial sky, and the hum of ships and distant engines created a soothing rhythm. Eli felt a quiet connection to the universe around him. Humans were small, but their potential was limitless. Humans have a way of surprising others, the Queen said softly. They act without arrogance, think beyond themselves, and find solutions that others might overlook. That is why they are indispensable, and that is why I trust you, Eli, to represent your species well. Your species has earned the respect of the galaxy, not through force, but through thoughtfulness, courage, and empathy. Remember that, and humans will continue to surprise us all. Humans had proven that even small acts, guided by insight, integrity, and courage, could ripple across the galaxy, influencing outcomes in ways that even the most advanced civilizations could not predict. He remembered the planner again, small and leather-bound, and the simple decision to return it. Who could have guessed that a single honest act would lead to trust, cooperation, and recognition on a galactic scale? Eli smiled. Humans often overlooked their own potential, but when they stepped forward with courage and insight, remarkable things could happen. The Queen looked at him with a playful expression. And let us not forget, humans also bring a sense of style and humor to our affairs. That too can be valuable. He had returned a planner, solved puzzles, coordinated species through crises, and earned the respect of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. Humans had proven that courage, empathy, creativity, and integrity could achieve what brute force never could. He looked out at the spaceport once more, filled with ships, beings, and the endless possibilities of the galaxy. He understood, finally, the full scope of humanity's potential. Humans were small, but they could influence events far beyond their size through intelligence, cooperation, and heart. Every action mattered, every decision had consequences, and stepping forward could change the course of history, or even the stars themselves. Eli smiled quietly to himself. Humanity had begun to make its mark among the stars, not as conquerors, but as innovators, mediators, and problem solvers. And this was only the beginning. He felt a quiet determination settle in his chest. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown challenges and opportunities. Yet humans had the tools to navigate it: courage, insight, empathy, and the willingness to act thoughtfully. The planner had started it all, a small spark that ignited a chain of events proving humanity's value. And Eli, along with his species, would continue to step forward, one thoughtful action at a time. And somewhere, not far away, the Queen watched, smiling, knowing that humans had truly begun to show their potential, and that the galaxy would never be the same.